All right, so what if someone told you, hey, we need to get out on the water. We need to get in a boat. You need to get your paddle, get your little paddle boat. You need to get out onto the water, and you just need to start going, right? And you have all this pressure around you, all these people saying, hey, we really got to get going. We got to really get out on the ocean, okay? What's going to be your first question?
How far?
How far?
Where are we going?
Where the heck am I going?
Why are we going this direction?
Right? And it would be crazy for you to not ask, like, where am I going, right? That's kind of insane for someone to just be like, all right, yeah, let's get in the boat. Let's go in the ocean. Let's get my little paddle boat and do this. That's kind of insane. But what's crazy is that people do that all the time with marketing, right? People will be like, we need to do video. We need to do social. We need to do TikTok. And really what you're saying is that what you're doing with exactly what what this analogy is saying is you're saying, like, let's get out there and let's just have activity. And like the problem with just having activity is that you're not going anywhere with purpose and with intention. And the whole reason you have boats is so that you actually get somewhere.
You're asking the wrong questions, essentially.
Exactly. The first thing that that I believe that people need to be asking with marketing is, what do we want? Where do we want? How do we want people to respond to what we're putting out, and not just start putting out things that feel cool and feel good to us, right? I think that it's really powerful to have a goal, and I think that and we've seen over and over how much more effective marketing is when it has a goal, and so I think there's a lot of pressure to have this activity. But the activity is not the end result that we're looking for. The end result that we really look for is, we want our business to grow. We want clients in the door. We want X, and I think that is the best place to start. And so my name is Aaron.
I'm James.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Cody.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. Think Fresh, Move Forward. So on your point then, most businesses then tend to focus on brand awareness than the sell. Because actually most people and most business owners are not good at selling. So they focus on the easy part when it comes to marketing, and they think that's brand awareness just by putting my name out there, putting my logo, making some video, making some post, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever, LinkedIn post. They focus on the brand awareness, the overall arching, the more shotgun approach. Hey, I'm in business, come buy something for me type philosophy. And then they always wonder why it doesn't work. Or when they go with discount agencies that just plaster BS post thinking it's going to get them some sort of revenue generation.
This is trendy. Let's do a cool dance.
Yeah. Yeah, this TikTok's going to help me sell $1 million home. No, it ain't.
Well, and you know what? I understand where it comes from, right? We grew up in an era where all you had to do to be successful at marketing was have an ad and put it on TV, because you were appealing to a massive number of people, and some people are just going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And the biggest amount of ads that we see on like national TV, where the programs that are most watched are brand awareness, because like Nike doesn't need to explain to people what they make. Nike doesn't need to explain what the action item is going to be on like their commercial. Like they're selling a lot of things that you're already very, very familiar with.
They try to sell on emotion.
Exactly.
Just do
exactly.
Yeah,
and it's working for them. Why? Because they're this massive company that you already know what the action is.
Yes.
But if you're a company, if you're a business that is largely unknown, or even a medium-sized business, and no one really knows how to interface with you, no one knows how to approach you and to make this interaction happen, then they kind of have to be coached. They have to know what they're doing when you're putting this out there. So like, if you're just putting out brand stuff and you're just putting out what you've seen your whole life, you're not likely to be very successful, and you're likely to just be paddling really hard out in that ocean and going
in circles.
Going somewhere, nowhere fast.
And if you're paddling, it's funny how many business owners, especially small business owners, hire their teenage kid to do the social. So if you're paddling in the middle of the ocean, are you going to want your teenage kid to be the life source of
Yeah,
your
that's the
raft?
captain.
Navigator.
Yeah.
To be the
And you know what?
captain?
Your ad agency, your marketing person.
You're
That's
insane.
the captain of your ship, right? If
Yeah.
you're not the one who's doing the paddling, then someone else is the captain of your ship. They really should know where they're going. They really should know how to funnel what your business is into a functional goal that can actually make marketing
Work
work.
directly with the owners.
Right. And a lot of business owners focus on the word of mouth so much that they rely on it. Yeah, word of mouth advertising is great. It's the cheapest form of advertising, but you can't really quantify word of mouth advertising. You can't, if you put so much emphasis on your future income for the next month and the remainder of the year, that's a recipe for disaster. You can't rely on that.
It's also hard to duplicate in a systematic way.
Yeah, because you can't
Because
control it.
Sometimes you get a lot of referrals, and sometimes you get less.
Yeah, every once in a while, it's great getting these random off like, oh yeah, I heard about your name, blah blah. It's great. Those are nice projects to close and stuff like that.
And it's it's generally it's the thing that gets your business started.
Right, but so you can only scale to a point so much when it comes to that, and then there's the direct sales approach, but you're only as effective direct sales when it comes to you and your sales team. So if it's just you being a direct salesperson, if you stop working, this business stops growing, and then you could have some word of mouth, but you can only scale to a point, and there's a threshold of businesses that tend to cap around a certain point when it comes to revenue because they don't. The thing to get past that is to want to delegate, obviously, have more salespeople, but you need to have outsource marketing streams to bring in other sources of income from whether it's from social, whether it's from pay-per-click, whether it's from TV, whether it's from newspaper, whatever it is, outlet that you want, billboards, which don't get me started on billboards. You have to have that 3, 4, 5-prong approach when it comes to your business. And a lot of business owners, especially I would say contractors, for example, they're all busy, they're booked out for 3, 4 months, they think business is great, I don't need to do marketing, blah, blah, blah. But when the market shifts, and it will,
Yep.
a lot of them are going to fail out of business.
Yeah.
And I've told contractors this, and they're just ignorant to that fact. They're like, oh, I don't need to do marketing because I'm doing okay now. I'm like, well, in 2 years, you're probably going to be out of business if that is your sentiment.
It works, but
And
they don't evolve.
Yeah, and I get it. Like sometimes, like you work to a point where you get this business, and you're just like, oh, finally, great.
I'm comfortable.
Now I'm doing the thing that I'm best at, and like, yeah, you're right. The market will and can shift, and
it's going to.
Yeah, it's gonna shift. And
what's sorry to cut you off, but the term, the quote by Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy, and then be greedy when others are fearful. So
that's great.
So yeah, there's simply just if you adapt that philosophy, you'd be fine. So if everyone's being greedy, which they are now, that's time to worry.
Especially in the housing market,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this principle
Things are wild right now.
The principle applies to any and all industries, but housing is just the easiest way to explain at the moment for the vast majority of audiences.
So going back to your analogy, right, with the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
I think what's most interesting is how things have changed from the 90s and the early 2000s where, yes, you did traditional forms of advertising like a newspaper ad, like TV ads, and those might have been pretty general, right? Pretty vague, pretty general ads to kind of a general audience, right? Why? Because at that point, you were screaming across a pond. And now, when you post on social or you're trying to get attention on social media, you're now trying to scream across the ocean.
Yeah.
And so it's a futile task, right? Unless you're thinking about, okay, am I screaming the right message the right way to the right person? And then you're starting to think about the right way to market.
Yeah. Communicating to an audience now is just so wild. Like, here's what's TV was so transformative in America. Like, we went from like everything was word of mouth. Everything was word of mouth. When TV happened, everybody was on it, and like,
That's where all the eyeballs were.
Yeah, everyone's eyeballs were on TV. If you had any product and you just put some money behind it and got on TV, you would probably be successful just from the fact that like everybody saw it.
Oh,
but
like
now you're reaching a really different a really different demographic on TV, and so you have to be more intentional and more goal oriented with your marketing than ever before, because now you need to know who you're trying to reach before you even start, because that's gonna depend on that's gonna determine where you put your dollars. Is it going into Google? Is it going to go into Instagram? Is it going to go into TikTok? Is it going to go on TV? Because it might. Your target demographic might be on TV, and so
might nowadays
might
QVC, the whole ad people get on there for 30 seconds, and the rotating display of just different people. They get 30 seconds to sell their material, and now that's not a thing anymore. I mean, it still is, but it's only targeting a certain age. 2 a.m.
It's like
cable, right? No one, only old generation is watching that.
55. I would say the age 55 and up are the ones buying from QVC.
Yep.
But your average 18-year-old teenager who now has a job and has some income to spend is not buying anything, for one, off QVC. They're buying it off Amazon or whatever platform. But they're not watching TV.
I'm telling you what, people have gotten good at Facebook ads because they get me. They will get me. I saw this shower head that they were advertising on Facebook, and it's got 2 nozzles and it reaches across your shower, so you have like 2 streams in your standard like tub showers set up. And so I'm seeing that, and I'm just like, I'm here for it.
And by the way, this is what business owners need to realize, right? Because all this money that was flooding into these traditional forms of advertising, like
about
newspaper,
$80 billion a year, by the way.
Yep, like TV, is flooding into social media, and the expectations for quality content are way higher than they've ever been before, right? Yeah. I mean, you think about how you're going to have a local roofer up against an ad by Walmart.
Yeah.
Right? And that is insane.
There was a short time, though, when I would say like 5 years ago, where the small business owner had the chance to
when it was still emerging,
to take advantage of that, and those businesses did really well, the ones who listened to the marketing agencies. Yeah. But now everyone's like, oh wait, I gotta have social now. Yeah. Essentially it's the whole, I gotta do this because everyone else is doing it. But now you are competing with the big dogs and the big money and the big productions. So you have to spend. You can't pay a run and gun video agency for. You can. Sorry, you do whatever the hell you want. But as far as
it's going to work or not,
is it going to work?
Yeah.
Like, I'll pay someone. Oh, this person could do video for me for $500. Like, well, it's going to look like shit, and it's not going to. You're essentially just throwing money out the window for, because I need to have a video, and it doesn't work.
And keep in mind that even that local TV spot that you might have done in the past, it probably will not work in an environment like social media where somebody just scrolls past you, right? On TV, they're a captive audience, right? They can't scroll past you.
They can change the channel, but like if they're going, like I hate changing channels, and so I just sit through the ads. And I like ads.
Do something. You have to grab the
get up and click the 2.
You don't channel surf? I haven't done that in ages.
I don't channel. I haven't watched TV
Alexa,
in a while. But
change the channel.
If Alexa was around, I would not spend as much money.
Even with doing video, then as an example, money doesn't always equate to quality.
Sure.
Because there's some of these commercials you see where, by the way, the average television production that you see on TV is bare minimum $400,000 to $500,000 spent on just the production, not the ad spend, and as far as from that marketing standpoint. So nowadays, I think it's gone up to closer to $1 million as far as what they're putting into these productions.
Except for the local spots, right? But the national, you're talking about national ads.
This kind of gets into the selling standpoint. A lot of these creators at these high-level agencies that have been around for a long time, they focus on the artsy, creative aspect and not the sale of it, and then those ads simply just fall dead on their feet, essentially.
It looks cool, must work.
It looks cool, it may be attractive, but then you're like, what did I see an ad for? What was that?
Yeah. Cool can kill your ad.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like when we say like, you're competing against Walmart, you're competing against these people, that doesn't mean that you are completely incapable and you don't have tools at hand. The thing that is going to give you the most advantage and send you the farthest is your ability to connect to your audience and your ability to communicate. And that's not always $1 million price tag, right? What that really means is you're planning and your goal before, You're planning in pre-production with your script, and I cannot stress that enough. Your script is crazy important, and then you're planning around what is the action. How can I make it as easy as possible for someone to follow through with this? I think the most and I'm a not a victim, but I am a recipient of this. When a product is easy for me to purchase from a Facebook ads, when I'm just like 2 to 3 clicks away from like hitting add to cart and like putting my information in, that's good planning. That's not money spent in production. That's good planning, and that's making it easier for your audience to get to you.
But taking all that, but also understanding the current consensus of the current environment as far as what everyone else is doing and how can you stand out. So years ago, Super Bowl was great for picking out the best commercials that worked and didn't work. I forget what year it was, but there was a Miller High Life commercial. It was 1 second, and it was just a dude saying High Life. That was it, and it caught everyone off guard. They heard what it was, but there was no cool artsy approach to it whatsoever. It just got the name in. It was quick, and everyone was like, "Whoa, what was that?" And it was the talk of the town. As far as they only spent, it was like, I think on average at the time it was like $120,000 a second to advertise for the Super Bowl. All these other commercials are doing 30, 40, 50-second ads, and then Miller High Life comes in with $125,000 ad, and it gets the talk of the town. So it's being smart with it as well, knowing the consensus of the market. Will that ad work again? Probably not.
Well, you know what the wildest commercial from the Super Bowl this past year was the one that had the
QR code?
The QR code that was just
Bitcoin.
bouncing around the
Oh,
screen.
Coinbase.
Right.
It crashed their servers.
That was amazing because you know what? Everybody knew it was going to happen.
Everybody has their phone next to them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And so they're looking at it, but what everyone's waiting on is for it to hit the corner of the screen.
Exactly.
Right?
It's the whole DVD thing.
Right?
When it
And
hits
by the way,
they spent
what does
so
that
little.
show? What does that show? That shows they understand their audience, right? Because they knew that their audience is old enough to appreciate the DVD screen that's going across it, right? They also were capitalizing on like pop culture too, because there was a whole thing in The Office, right? That whole skit in The Office where they're all watching in the conference room, right?
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And then they hit on the exact like satisfaction of it going right into the corner, right? Which is what everybody's hoping for.
Don't forget the market for
And they
crypto.
tease you with it a little bit at first.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
And you know what they spent on production on that? Freaking nothing, man.
Yeah.
They spent
Yeah.
5 minutes and it feels like they spent 5 minutes.
Creative, they probably spent a lot of time and energy,
yeah.
right?
All their time,
Good
all their
smoke-
effort
good
was in
smoke
their
test for the
goal.
servers.
Yep.
All their time and effort was in their goal. All their time and effort was in how can we get people to do something, and everybody was scanning that QR code.
Yeah.
They weren't even ready for it.
And you're right, and they made it easy because everybody's got their phone and they can just scan it, and then
I'm
call
telling
to
you,
action's easy.
The most important thing in marketing is your goal and your plan on receiving that business.
Fun fact about QR codes. So QR codes made a huge, when it first came out, it was the biggest thing, but you had to download an app to use it. And then there wasn't much user adoption with QR codes. Then Apple came out with an update. Apple did it first, that when you pull up your camera, without even having to download an app, it would then scan and then go to that website.
Yeah,
and then now
it
QR
resurrected
They've
it.
had
and then
Yeah.
QR codes have come
Yeah.
back in full swing. And
Yeah,
it's like the,
I remember when they came out and everybody was just like, "This is the future," and then everybody was like, "This is not the future," and then all of a sudden, all of a sudden, we start seeing them everywhere because it's accessible.
Well, even think about COVID. Like
that one?
everything hit.
Oh,
no
menus.
one's
Oh,
yeah,
using
yeah.
menus anymore, and they're
Yep.
still not doing it. Because
Yep.
why? Because why do you want to have waitresses and bartenders
Well,
clean
having to
menus
print
or
new
throw
menus
them,
I
Yeah,
will,
throw
I
them
will,
all the way?
I will say on the menu standpoint that most of the restaurant owners, the ones that really care about the food, actually prefer the paper menu.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
personally prefer the paper
nostalgia.
menu. Well, I mean, I hate having to like pin. Well, one,
Sure.
it's also having a great designed website that has your menu, so you don't have to like pinch and zoom to see what you're trying
Sure,
to
yeah.
buy. But like Grisette, for example,
Yeah.
I remember when he told us like, I'm so glad we're no longer doing QR codes. I was waiting for so long to do paper menu.
Yeah.
So because he hated the fact that he had to log into his website
and change it.
and change it all the time.
Yep.
Versus just bringing some out. But yeah, there's pros and cons to all that. But there's
Well,
just
let's
a
say,
fun
like,
side
your
note.
mainstream, I'm going to say Golden Corral because who has a menu at Golden Corral?
I have
Olive
no
Garden, something like that.
No desire to ever go to Golden
Who
Corral.
wants to go there? But like your mainstream franchises, they'll have them because their menus are so massive. But you have the bougie ones, your 5-star ones that have like 4 or 5 items for your 3-course meal. Those might change every so often because of the chef. But other than that, then that makes sense. So.
Yeah. So we're talking, there is a difference between marketing and ads, right? And we've been talking primarily about ads. And sometimes they get used interchangeable. And there is a big difference there. Marketing, I think, is what is about what you are putting out as total. Ads are just kind of the utility of putting that out. And ads,
it's a delivery method.
Yeah.
Ads
are the
your
delivery
marketing
method.
strategy.
Knowing the delivery, understanding what aspect or what your delivery method is on what platform and what your target audience is and where, time of year, seasonality, all these take into effect. And the average business owner can know when the best parts of their time of the business to advertise and when their highs and lows are. But as far as the other aspects go, you should outsource that to someone that knows what they're doing, because that's going to bring you the most bang for your buck. I mean, we generate at least well over millions plus dollars of revenue every year for our clients. And because we've understand the market, understand the highs and lows, when to for example, for all our Google ad clients that we do, when to do bid adjustments, when their low season's coming, we actually spend more money on marketing to try to help offset that lower inventory coming in as far as for certain clients. So like we have, for example, like with the not body shop, but the repair shop, certain parts of the year are very slow for them. So we actually increase their ad spend during those months, and it helps. Yes, they are spending more money, but they have more customers coming in to fill in that gap. Yeah. And then when the high season comes around, reduce the budget back down, and then essentially still keeping that same consistent, if not hopefully growing.
Interesting.
And even with the potential of return customers too.
That's too. So it's, you could have word of mouth and then of course the direct, but when you do marketing, there's multiple outcomes from that one customer, because now it could be repeat customer. Then they can also do word of mouth, so it's only going to quantify even more with doing some sort of paid advertising campaign. It makes sense to do it. Just that ignorant idea of like, oh, I don't need to do it is going to be the downfall of any business. It happened in 2008 and 2009. The businesses that doubled down on marketing and the ones that killed it for years afterwards, and then same thing with COVID. The businesses that put an emphasis on marketing during COVID times are the ones that made it through. Yeah, there are some aspects as far as certain things that crushed them from, I'm not going to get into politics but the ones that focus heavily on digital and upgraded the website and maintained that level of, say, status quo are doing fine. Yeah. Actually doing better than ever.
Yeah.
So how many times have you heard a business like, yeah, we're booked out forever, or even if it's a service-based, it's because they're doing so well.
And you know what happens a lot of times is when businesses get busy, and I am guilty of this too. You get satisfied and you stop trying so hard sometimes.
The feast and famine philosophy.
And what I think happens what I think that we are going to see in the real estate market is, because I run a real estate photography and videography business as well, but what we see when things are really good, I notice realtors start dropping the amount of services they do, right? So they're like, okay, let's just do photos. We're not going to do video. We're not going to do house scans. We're not going to do Matterport or
staging or any of that,
or branding, and sometimes not even staging, and sometimes we're not even going to hire a photographer. We're just going to like cell phone picture this.
I feel like they don't need it anymore.
Right. Yeah. But you know what? Do you know how many referrals you get from that though?
A lot.
None.
Well, what?
You get a lot
remember
from the photos and video.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You get a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, you're right. And the thing is, people remember how hard you worked for them when you were busy.
Right.
And and so there's that tendency to just like turn and burn those jobs when you're busy, and that is part of what I think kills you when you enter into the lean times, because you're getting less referrals from the people you worked with. Yeah. And I noticed this, and so going back to the goal thing, about 5 years ago when I was still newer, I had a client who she had this idea that she was going to do these videos, and it's just walkthrough videos, and everybody's seen a walkthrough video. Everybody's seeing them. They're just it's a video that shows the house, goes through the house, kind of shows the floor plan, kind of shows how rooms link to each other, and it's super boring. But she was like, you know what? I have a goal that has nothing to do with putting this video to sell the house, and so she had me film things that were like sentimental to the client she had. And so she was like, all right, I want you to get these shots that are of this nook that has this window where this client would read a lot. And so there was just had me filming a lot of things that were sentimental to the client. And what's crazy is the client, she gives the client to the video. I don't know that she even posted it on Facebook, but she gives the video to the client, and the client is like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to keep this forever. It just loves the video because it was the house that they lived in and brought all these feelings.
All the memories they had.
Yeah, we put the sappy music on it. That was very sentimental.
Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah. In the arms of the angels. We brought in some puppies to put on the couch. No, I'm kidding. So she didn't push this video very hard on social or anything, but she did give it to the client, and the client posted it on their page. Like their personal Facebook page. And then then she gets they love her and just are so happy with what she did. So then the people across the street, they sell with her too. And then the people next to them sell with her. And then there was 2 houses down, they sell with her. And then like 10 houses down, there was like a really big house. It was like $800,000 listing, and that sells with her too. And all these, now I say this house was big. All these houses are $450,000 to $600,000, and so that's a good chunk of change at a 3% commission any day of the week.
It's not bad.
And so what's crazy is all of them were friends, and in that group of friends there was a realtor that all of them did not use, and that's wild because when you're looking for someone who's going to be like doing a colonoscopy of your finances and looking at all the personal information, you want someone that you're comfortable with. And so this other person was a successful realtor, but they chose not to use them. And I think that just speaks to like when you have a goal. Like she had a goal that in her marketing, she had a goal that she had a plan that she was going to utilize, and like it paid huge dividends.
It was very intentional, right?
Yeah.
Because she said, my objective here is to connect on a deeper level with the client I already have.
Yep.
In an effort to leverage that into more opportunities in the future. And she didn't know what those opportunities would be, so it takes a risk, right? Because she's paying you to create something that doesn't necessarily have an exact plan.
Yeah, she had an audience of one.
Yeah.
She had an audience of
That's
one.
That's taking it down
person.
to like the detail of
Yeah.
one person and refining the audience.
And what's so wild to me is that we so often we approach marketing with the exact opposite like method. Like we're just like, let's get this out to as many people as possible. Let's spend all this money.
Yeah, if they breathe and they have money, let's get them out. Right.
At the time, I think I was only charging like $125 for a video. And like, okay, so think about that.
Yeah.
That's what's so powerful about a goal. Like she had like, she knew exactly what she was doing with this, and like it paid huge dividends that were way more than she probably would have made if we would have done this ad campaign and this massive production. Like I'm telling you, goals in marketing are everything.
It's sold on the emotion.
Yep.
For that.
For that one client. She had one client and she knew how to get to them, and she just got that. Got in there.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of small business owners then mess up, right? Is they think, well, I have a roofing business. I want to speak to every single person in and around the Richmond area that owns a home, right? And the problem is that you might think that's a specific audience, but it's not a specific audience,
Nope.
right? It's still something the size of Lake Michigan. It's huge, right?
Yeah.
It's not an ocean necessarily, but it's still huge. So you have to get it down even further than that, right? You have to say, what's the exact price point? What's the exact age group I need to go after? What's the exact location of the people I need to target, down to the zip code?
And even start asking where's the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Like trying to figure out who is the most likely to own the house and also respond to ads that I can actually get out to them.
And then what does that person need to hear? What's going to resonate with them?
Exactly.
Right? What kind of content?
What kind of life do they live?
What message is going to resonate with that individual?
Yep.
And then ultimately, what action do I want that individual to take?
Yeah.
And then once they take that action, where is it going to lead them?
Yeah, and so like not every piece, not every ad, and not every piece of marketing should be designed around like closing a sale, because you're not going to influence someone from an ad to redo your roof, but you might convince them to pick up the phone and investigate more. So if that's your goal, then yeah, like,
that's how you get them into your sales funnel. Then that's what you do.
If that's what they're most likely, if that's what they are most likely to respond to, then that's how you need to get.
So what you're saying is hire Freshman Media to do all your marketing.
I think that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, verbatim. That's what I said, right?
Short layman's terms. So.
No, before you even think about hiring someone, you need to think about your goals, because we can't tell you. We can help you with your goals for sure. We do that all the time. We sit down and we say
it's the first conversation we have typically.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So and we have this same meeting all the time. Someone says we really need to get out there, and we say, okay, who's coming? Who are your clients that you're doing the most business with, and what are you doing that's resonating with them? And so that we can formulate a goal with you. Like, we can figure out where the low hanging fruit is, because we do this with a lot of people, but. You've got to know what the best way for anyone is to respond to you, because if you don't have a way to receive that business, then you're likely just paddling still.
But also, don't be cheap with it. That's another thing is a lot of business owners. The stat is on average a business that does around 15 to 20% of their budget, their yearly budget, in marketing, tends to do fairly well and tends to grow year after year. But the business owner that tends to do less than 10%, a lot of business owners only do like 2 to 5% in marketing budget, because like, oh, well, I know I need to do marketing, but it's the whole aspect, I'm comfortable, and then they put a very little minimal amount, and then they always question when the market turns or they're not growing, they're staying stagnant. Well, why am I not growing? Well, it's because you're being a cheap ass. Just to be honest, not to be a dick.
And honestly, that makes sense in years 1 through 3, right? If you're in years 1 through 3 and you're bootstrapping it, and you don't have outside investment,
right,
then you probably need to just rely on
direct
pounding
sales.
the pavement,
Yes.
getting out there, meeting people, doing all those things, right? But in years 3 through 5, and you're out of like the death zone for new businesses, like you're actually more well established. If you're not putting 15 or 20% of top line revenue towards marketing,
That's minimum, by the way.
then you're probably missing out opportunities for growth, right? And there's going to be a transition period where you have to think about, okay, we're going from like we've never spent money on marketing to now we are spending money on marketing. And sure, you might need to do it incrementally, but there has to be some transition there. Otherwise, you will not sustain growth. And growing over a larger number gets harder and harder every single
year after year.
Right?
And then also, what is the I would say, what is the sales cycle of an average new customer? Is it 1 week? Is it a month? Is it 12 months? Because some of these businesses, especially the higher the price tag goes, the longer that sales cycle takes.
Yep.
Like some of the people we know, like for example, Carter, he's selling hundreds, if not millions of dollars worth of contracts.
Yep.
But that sales cycle could be 2 years.
Yep. Yep.
So that's a little bit different versus when you're selling like a $20 product. The sales cycle for that could be like Aaron, you rolling on Facebook. Oh, I just saw it. Buy.
Showerhead.
Showerhead. Dual shower. Buy.
Those low sales cycles, they're getting me. They've figured me out.
So speaking of marketing, and this is a segue into the next topic, I want to, Aaron, if you could bring up the Richmond Ad Club. So every year they do this award ceremony. It's mostly like the JD Power, giving yourself a high five on the back, I think. These are all local agencies. Some of these are big agencies, like the Martin Agency is one of the top ad agencies in the United States.
Happens to be in Richmond.
Just happens to be here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they do multitude of categories on here. And we had talked about, should we join this? Because we're not members of this. Just because we're not members of it doesn't mean we're good at what we do. I always hate paying organizations like these just to give ourselves, if we win, a trophy to put on a shelf that becomes irrelevant the second after we win it, because then it's on to the next year. It's like when people brag about, like Five Guys, best burger in 2015. Why haven't you won in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20? And, so it adds more questions, and it's just, I don't know, it's just self-gloating. I know it can help from a brand. This is more brand awareness than anything. And then you mentioned, we talked about stuff.
We're talking about like SEO.
SEO.
And then,
there's
the
that
actual website traffic going to your actual webpage.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have the backlink.
Backlinks.
Yeah.
But some of these ads are great, and then some of these ads suck, in my opinion. And I think they were voted on because of the whole artsy aspect of the ad. So it's also, but when you're choosing a marketing agency, don't try to focus on the one that focuses on the most rewards, because usually people that are voting on those awards are not great salespeople. They're just focusing because
it's not their audience either.
Exactly.
Right. You're okay. So and that's really what I'm getting at here is like, you can't measure the success of an ad based on how it looks, and how you can measure the success of an ad based on what changed in your business because of it.
It's the whole Tom Cruise show me the money.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
What's so new?
Show me the money.
Yeah.
You are my ambassador of Quan.
Yeah. The thing to look at, I think, is really just like, is this ad agency, is this person I'm having doing my marketing, are they trying to understand what we can do and trying to like enhance that?
Well, and to that point, even if like it resonates in your creative room, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it resonates with the audience that you're trying to talk to, right?
Yeah,
that's the real reflection of it.
And I totally understand the what they're getting at here with these awards, because you're submitting your best work to people who are experts in making these things, and these people are validating you based on that. And so there's some value in that, but at the end of the day, there's ads shot with cell phones that perform. The real, I think the real voters of ads are the people who are spending the money.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, you need to focus on, but even those ads shot on cell phones, and from a post-production standpoint and color grading, they're like like Apple, when they do the commercials. This commercial was shot entirely on an iPhone, but they had perfect lighting, perfect audio.
Yeah, they have a crew of 100 people setting up this perfect scenario where the iPhone can't fail.
Yeah, it was shot on an iPhone, but the audio sure as hell was not recorded with an iPhone. The lighting obviously wasn't natural, and then the color grade artists that they have are like some of the best in the world. So of course this looks great, but if you were to try it yourself, just
average Joe Schmo,
it's gonna look like shit. But that's the other thing.
You're creative, and you're creative, and your ability to connect with your people. That's everything.
Yeah, so you do need to have quality. Like even like back in the day, like Gary Vee used to say, like, you should become a content creator and just record. Quality doesn't matter. Nowadays it does, because like your average like million subscriber YouTuber is using a red camera for their daily vlogging. Like, are you? That's insane. That's all.
Some of them are.
The whole
like
setup.
A $20,000 camera.
Yeah, I understand they have like the new ones out, which are much cheaper. But like, I know like 3-4 years ago, some of these YouTubers started using red cameras for daily vlogging, and their setups are like $100,000+ setups, running around vlogging with a red camera.
Yeah.
Like what? So
wild.
that is what you're competing with. I'm not saying you have to use that level of quality, but from a standpoint where you need to stand out and capture these people's attention, you have to have that quality, especially with audio. If that will greatly, you could have the best looking image, but if your audio sounds like
audio
dog shit,
audio is everything.
you're gonna lose the person. So that's just end rant when it comes to that. So
your audio and your
the audio and lighting.
lighting plays a huge role.
Yeah, lighting. You can take a terrible camera and shoot a great ad if you have great audio and you have great concepts, right? So here's the thing. My expertise here is video creation, and so what I'm focusing on is like, is the script is our concept actually going to turn over money first? Because if it's not, it's a pointless video, and it can look cool, it can look amazing, it can be creative all at once, but if it's not designed to produce something, then we've just wasted everyone's time and everyone's money. The second thing I'm looking for is like, what is the best way for us to make this so that there is as little possible distractions from that goal, right? And your visuals can be a distraction if you're not composing well. Your visuals can be, your lighting and everything enhances that. Your lighting enhances that. You want to design all of your frames so that the eye goes directly to the person who's speaking or directly to the thing that's being advertised, and not to stuff in the background. Like, you just intention, right? And that's everything. I mean, we keep going back to this. It's really all the same subject. It's just intention. What do you intend for? How do you intend for people to respond? Where do you intend for people to look at on the screen? What do you intend for people to hear? How do you intend for them to act when they do that? How do you intend for you to respond to that? Like, it's all intention, right? And if you're hiring someone whose intention is just to make cool looking ads, great. You've become a stepping stone for them to get to the next ad.
Right.
And you have not, you've not done anything. You've not gone anywhere.
And I think a concept you've also talked about in passing is less is more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of intention. All these cool videos have just so much noise in the background. The intention's lost.
Yeah.
So less is definitely more.
That even happens with, that actually goes across any industry and anything, even with our business Lux Metal Card. We make metal business cards. Some of the people that contact us, they want everything under the sun
On their
printed on their card.
Yeah.
Print it,
And
cut it, put my face on there, logo. It's like,
And
bro.
like, this looks like shit. Don't do it. And a lot of time, I would say 95% of the time, the business owner takes my advice, and I always tell them less is more, especially when you're trying to convey quality and luxury and all these other aspects of feeling. Less is more to get the point across. Yeah. And then when we work with realtors, like, I rolled my eyes when I said that. So many of them want to put their face on the metal business card. And when you screen print on metal, it doesn't look great. And I tell them this, and eventually they come around. But every once in a while, it's just like, I really want to have my face. I'm like, it doesn't convey quality.
I love realtors.
So
I should just say that. I love realtors.
So
They're a special breed of people.
yes, they are.
well,
It's a little sarcasm.
and on that,
No
because
offense to any realtor watching
why
the
do
show.
they want why do they want their face on it? They want their
Keep watching
face
Fish
because that's their thought process from paper cards, right?
Right.
And this is a completely different medium. It's a completely different delivery method. It's a metal card, right? So it's just, again, it goes back to thinking about, does your message line up? Is it native to whatever platform you're delivering it on? Is it going to land the right way? I mean, it's all these things, right? And what you're describing there, Aaron, it's intentional ad creation, intentional marketing.
Well, my favorite is when the realtor uses the photo from back in the 70s still
Glamour
today,
shot.
the glamour shot. I'm like, yeah, you don't look like that no more. So it's actually doing you
Lasers
disservice.
behind.
Pew, pew, pew. Need the word of the day: intention.
All right, so now moving into our next segment, this kind of just still falls under
And parting note on this, I think this is something we should be a part of, by the way. And even though it's like, it's like industry award, right?
I think it's like $600 a year or
Yeah,
something like that. It's whatever.
I mean,
probably worth looking into.
6,000 people come to this site a month. So
You did the analytics on this?
Yeah, of course I did.
Oh.
What do you think I am?
So yeah, if nothing else, for the backlink. Right?
All right, so but are those 6,000 people only? Before you play on this, are those only are those all marketers, or are those people actually looking for?
Well, I
just
use
a question to ask.
SEMrush. It's an SEO analytics tool,
Yeah.
and it actually, I just did a quick search last night, and it was about 6,000, and it pulls it from Google Analytics.
Yep.
So unique visitors per month. So then you take a percentage. We'll say less than 10% actually go
As
to
long
your
as they're human
site.
beings and not bots, I don't really
sure.
care, right?
Yeah.
And I think from an SEO perspective, it's worth doing.
That's a whole conversation on its own. So
Oh,
these
definitely.
two ads, one of these ads actually sells
yeah.
on emotion and does a really hell of a good job. The other one actually does play into the market a little bit when it comes to knowing the audience and then also somewhat asking for the sale in a very, very funny way. So this is going to be the first ad. I think this is one of the best video or advertising videos I've seen that convey a message really well without saying anything. Go ahead.
Nice sound design.
It's the last goodbye, I swear.
Hope this doesn't get copyrighted.
I have no regrets, for the past is behind me.
This is fair use, YouTube.
Tomorrow reminds me just where. Can't quite see the end
watch that ad forever.
So that guy was a swimmer, right?
Yeah. Who's Michael Phelps?
Only the most decorated Olympian in all of mankind.
Yeah, that's an amazing ad.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh man, I love this. I love this tagline at the end, rule yourself, right?
Yeah,
that whole ad is kind of about like what you do in the dark is what brings you into the light. But so it's saying like,
what are you, Batman?
well, it's about mastering yourself and mastering the natural obstacles that are presented by being a freaking human being that doesn't want to wake up early and wants to be comfortable and wants all these things and
makes you want to go to the gym after seeing this ad.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I need to lose some weight.
And if you're going to the
Nice
gym,
path.
you need gym clothes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to buy Under Armour.
There you go.
Under Armour.
Bing.
This conveyed the writing is technically involved in this aspect to convey that emotion.
Oh yeah.
Well,
the amount of
concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the amount of work that went into those two statements right at the end.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And what I
It's
love
a team
about
of
it,
people.
what I love about it is those two statements, and then the ultimate tagline, which is "Rule yourself." Right?
I love that.
Those two statements probably took hours and hours of
Meetings.
workshopping,
Oh yeah.
and it's again the concept of less is more, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did. They took probably a huge wealth of ideas and narrowed it down to these two very simple statements, and then to show contrast and bring attention to them, what did they do? It's a black screen, white text,
Yeah.
easy to read and simple, and brings your focus.
I bet you that the amount of people that worked on this was at least 30 to 50 people.
Oh yeah.
For just from the
Easily.
production, the writing.
Easily.
I'm not including all the random people that were standing above the pool, but
Extras.
like from the production, from pre-production, post-production, and the production aspect, at maybe even possibly up to 100. I don't know, but bare minimum 30 people wrote this, essentially built this ad,
Yeah.
which is a lot of people.
And let me can we rewind? I want to go to that shot where he's swimming and there's nothing.
The infinite pool.
Right there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is another thing about intention, right? So there is a lot of screen space, and this is the same concept we've been talking about, right? And this is when intention is through every single piece of your ad. They intend for you to look right there, right? So they eliminate all of this, whether it's through color grading or whether it's through or whether they had a really high budget and they just actually lit this whole pool in a single piece, which that's probably VFX there. The pool might only just be this big, and they just. Sorry, I'm getting in the
But the
weeds
message
here.
it conveys is that he's never stopped training.
Yeah, but they
Just keep going.
this shot is so powerful because they've eliminated all the distractions and they've eliminated everything, and they've done it by contrast. So there's this one spot of light and everything else is dark, and he's just
keep
going through that tunnel. And so when you're creating ads, be the only thing they can look at. Make your goal the only thing that they can think about, not about all the other things that you do. Don't try to make an ad that just lists all your services.
range of services.
Yeah. I mean, that's a trap that
And I-
people
and I
fall
think
into
the
real quick.
scene-
Well, I want people to know that I do this, and I also want people to know that I do this. I also want people to know that this product does this. Okay, look, people need to know the basic function and how to get it. And
Yeah, usually it's one thing that gets them to take action.
Exactly.
It's not 40 things that gets them to take action.
Right.
And I think the scene of him just, I'm not sure if like 10 seconds prior to this, but his intention is just swimming. All the stuff prior, everything else that's going on, gym, eating, sleep, over and over again, rinse and repeat. That is the end
Yeah,
goal.
what
It's
you
just
do in the dark.
Swimming. Yep.
Yeah, what you do in the dark,
Brings
but
you to the light.
no one else sees,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then brings out the light, and the light is the actual games itself that he won.
Yeah.
And he's an overnight success. No such thing.
Nope.
Yeah.
Lifetime.
So, all right, let's get into the next ad. This one's a little bit more funnier, a little bit longer, but
I'm going to give a little history on that too. I'm not sure some people know the actual rivalry.
well, let's say Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. have a fake rivalry online, and it's been doing really well from a marketing standpoint.
And so on
9
social media,
years?
they've been going back and forth, and it's they've had fun with it for a while now.
Ryan Reynolds also owns, for disclaimer, an ad agency. So
Yeah,
a lot of people don't realize
I
that.
didn't know
A
that.
cell phone
I
company
didn't know
called
that.
Mint.
Yeah, he usually plays
Yeah,
as
yeah.
the main actor because obviously Ryan Reynolds sells. Just because it's Ryan Reynolds.
Because he's
Yeah.
Bay.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
It's Ryan Reynolds. So,
Ryan Reynolds.
all right, go ahead and hit play, Aaron. Jesus.
Hey everyone, Ryan and I recently called it a truce in
Great
our
name.
social media war, and we promised to make ads for each other.
Yeah, we sure did. I've been working 24/7 on an ad for Hugh's incredible coffee company, Laughing Man, and he's been working hard 24/7, I imagine, on a aviation gin ad.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go first. Let's roll it.
Can't wait.
Can a cup of coffee be a superhero? Because Laughing Man beans are born with a special power. Sure, it's the best tasting coffee on the market. Yeah, it awakens your senses with unbelievable flavor. But it also lifts up communities around the world in the form of housing and scholarships. And Hugh could be behind such a heroic company. Hugh
Hey,
guessed
everyone,
it.
Ryan and I
My friend,
recently called it
Hugh
a
Jackman,
truce in our social
the loving and caring man who created
Yeah, we sure did.
Laughing Man.
I've been working
Make
24/7
every
on
cup
an ad
count.
for Hugh's incredible coffee company, Laughing Man, and he's been working hard 24/7, I imagine, on a aviation gin ad. So I'm gonna go
Man,
first.
that was really,
let's
that's
roll it.
really professional. It's like cost
Can a
$1
cup
million.
of coffee be a superhero? Because Laughing Man beans are born with a special power. Sure, it's the best tasting
I'm not
coffee
quite
on
ready
the
to show
market.
mine yet.
Yeah,
Let's just come
it
to a
awakens
second.
your senses.
No, it's not
with
almost finished. Just some
unbelievable
color
flavor.
correcting.
For a
little
second,
something.
let's just
Some
roll it.
communities
Come on, I
around
can't
the
wait to
world.
see it.
Almost
Go,
there.
go, go, roll it, roll it.
And scholarships.
Ryan
And
Reynolds
Hugh
is
could
a
be behind
complete
such
and total.
heroic company. Hugh guessed it. My friend, Hugh Jackman, the loving and caring man
Gin's pretty
who
great, though.
created
I'll have to try it someday.
Laughing Man. Make every cup count.
I love the audio.
Wow. Wow, man, that was
It's
really
probably the real audio.
Yeah.
It's like cost $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? I'm not quite ready to show mine yet. Truce was actually real. No, it's not almost finished. Just some color correcting.
For a
little bit.
second,
No,
let's just roll it. Come on, I can't wait to
almost
see
there.
it. Go, go,
So,
go, roll it.
taking Laughing Man's
Ryan
ad,
Reynolds is a complete-
that itself. Oh my God.
Hey, that's a great hook
That's
for an
fun.
ad
That
right
is a
there.
great
That
ad
is-
right
that
there.
is great.
Great hook.
Gin's pretty great.
You might have to just, I guess, refresh. Or
That's a
Oh,
way to
that's
make
funny.
Just
sure
hit
that you
mute
don't
so we
get
don't
your
hear it.
ad skipped. Right?
yeah,
That's funny.
jeez.
Oh, mud water.
Yeah,
Love
it looks disgusting.
I've tried it. It's actually
Whatever. I'm not getting rid of coffee. The Laughing Man ad is actually, if that was just to be an ad by itself without this content, it's still a great ad, and it's funny and it works. And like you said, I doubt he actually spent $1 million on the ad, but gets my point across what I mentioned earlier. So, but this placates. They're using the consensus that everyone knows that they have an internet feud, and playing that to very, very well. And look at the amount of views this thing has.
Over what?
I
Aaron,
get-
scroll down a little bit. I think it's like 6-7 years old when this was posted.
I guarantee you that this sold 3 years ago, maybe.
That's a con.
That a decent amount of coffee and gin was sold from this ad.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
bought a bottle of aviation. I'm not a big fan of gin, but I do have a bottle of aviation gin in my liquor cabinet, and I don't drink it. But I like Ryan Reynolds, so I bought it.
It's not surprising that these two would come up with a hilarious, well scripted, just enjoyable 2 minutes of an ad, right? It's not. I mean, because they're incredible, right?
All playing off the feud in the Wolverine Origins movie is where it all started.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool and
yep.
all that. So
So yeah, if
They
you want
finally
to
shut you up.
replicate the success of an ad like this, I think what you have to do is just like
hi, Ryan Reynolds.
be a wildly successful actor, and have your own marketing agency and
another very successful
be
actor.
very good looking, and just like have everything all together all the time, and then just start a feud with somebody else, and then just like where neither business actually hurts each other, and so it just only only helps for you guys to be fighting, and then just it's fine. Just be like Ryan Reynolds.
Just make sure it's not Will Smith.
So my question is, if you're a small business owner, what are you doing if you're not doing that?
But these feuds do work. So like Kevin Hart and The Rock have.
Oh yeah.
And then
they dig on each other all the time.
Those two comedians, Tom Segura and Bert, what's his last name?
Kreshner.
Have that feud as well.
Yeah.
And I could show 2 videos that they did, and they placated on that rivalry aspect, and both their videos went viral, and all their shows sold out, and they had to book more shows for the massive demand, and those sold out.
Yeah,
all
that's
because they made these viral videos. And
I would love to
smart.
see, because I feel like there is actually a market for this, and you know who I feel like started it? Wendy's.
With the Twitter stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wendy's
Oh,
Twitter
yeah.
account is
Yeah.
amazing, and
They
they're just like slamming
so
these
smart
other
ass.
Roasting
just
people.
roasting these
Roasting
other
everyone.
restaurants. And you know what? These other restaurants aren't hurt. You're not gonna stop going to McDonald's. And like Burger King did some ads like that where the Burger King was like stealing the
Yep.
sandwiches and stuff like that. But
The person who sold that to the marketing team or executive to approve to be a complete dick on Twitter is a great salesperson, I will say. For them to actually I give you permission to be a dick on Twitter and roast people.
Oh yeah, I mean that must have taken some like real internal work to allow that to happen. I mean the PR department, all of the hoops that they had to go through to make that happen. But here's to your point, Bud Light did a fantastic job of this a few years ago. And I don't know if you all have heard about this one or not, but
It's the cease and desist thing?
yeah, so Bud Light had found out that a small local brewery had created a brew called Dilly Dilly.
Dilly dilly.
And remember, they had the whole Dilly Dilly campaign going, right? And instead of just sending them a cease and desist letter and saying, hey, you can't use the term Dilly Dilly, it's our term, you're not allowed to use it for your brew, they dressed up an actor in like old colonial attire.
No, older than that, like King
Medieval?
John or like
had him walk
medieval
in,
time. Yeah.
Had him walk in with a parchment scroll that he unrolled, and he read the cease and desist letter.
Hear he.
At their establishment, allowed them to videotape it, post it on social. And so what they did is it was like an incredible way to help a small brewery, right, get the attention, and essentially like a little fish and the big fish in the ocean, the little fish that's like cleaning the big fish, right?
yeah.
They
Symbiotic.
allowed it to nibble, right? And it was a really incredible thing. So it got the goodwill of people who follow Bud Light, but it also got attention for the small brewery. And it's just an exact
And they invited him
example
to the
of
Super Bowl too.
that collaboration.
It was they gave
Oh,
him
yeah.
2 tickets to the Super Bowl
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
like their club
they
box.
give them. Yeah. I've seen it. They give them the Super Bowl ticket.
But they still sent them a cease and desist letter. Just give it away.
but legally, they're not allowed to do that.
They're not allowed to do it, right? But that was an incredible way for a big brand to help a smaller brand and then also create goodwill for themselves.
And not be a
at the same
dick
time.
about it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's that goes back to Seth Godin, his book Purple Cow. You know, the worst thing to do to be in a saturated marketplace is safe. If you when everything looks the same, and everyone is putting out the same, everyone's welcome message, and everyone's everything's fine, and everything's perfect, and everything's correct, and nobody's getting excluded message. The worst thing that you can do is just be safe. The best thing that you can do is stand out, right?
Yep.
So in his book, he talks about if you're to drive past a field full of cows, you're going to look at 1 to 2 cows and make an assumption on every other one. But if there was one of them that was purple, your attention would like fixate on that one. And what they're doing is they're being like, no, we're not getting along with everyone, and they're being very different in that way.
A quote from actually that book, and it's in our we use this quote in our for Lux Moto card. In a crowded marketplace, fitting in is a failure. In a busy marketplace, not standing out is the same as being invisible. Seth Godin.
Yeah. You're basically invisible.
So, all right. So this brings us towards the end of the podcast, and we have a segment called the Meme Review. And the person who introduces the podcast has to show the meme and then describe it, and then we give our thoughts on it, and then we'll end it out. So, Aaron, if you want to bring up the
So
ridiculous meme.
This meme comes from my from all of my attempts to not buy something on Facebook. So it's an uncanny resemblance between the size of the sun and Mercury and my finger and the close ad button on every.
It's almost impossible.
On every in-stream ad or every little ad that's on YouTube, because I don't pay for
The amount of
no ads
marketing
on YouTube.
decisions that have been made based off the data that people clicked on their ad when they were just trying to exit out is pretty astronomical if you think about it. And they do that on purpose because these. Usually it's these publications that do that. So like news, like it could be Richmond Times-Dispatch, Washington Post, you name it. They have these stupid pop-ups. And when you go to click on it and you can't exit out, you actually click on the ad, which gives a click.
Yeah.
And then they can sell those clicks as, oh, look, we get this many people that view and click on our clients' ads. Therefore, they can justify the ad dollars that they're spending. In reality, you just have a bunch of pissed off people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Just
really
gotta-
people who are looking for the close button ad.
I'd like to see the bounce rates on those. Right?
It's
That's
usually
the
around 99%.
thing.
I've
If the bounce
seen
rate's insane, then
I've seen the data.
you know there's a problem.
It's
right?
BS. So do not do pop-ups. Pop-ups can work if the person's been on the site for a while and you're asking them maybe to sign up. Like, for example, on all the real estate websites that we've built for agents, we do have pop-ups, but it usually pop-ups when the person starts searching the map tool and they start clicking favorite. When they hit favorite, it brings up a thing, hey, create an account, log in so you can save this as a favorite. That makes
and again,
sense.
it's meant to bring them value, right? And now they have an account. Now they have a place where everything's stored. Right?
I've had pop-ups where I'm on an e-commerce store and I've added a few items to my cart, and a pop-up's like, you've add whatever more to get free shipping, and it's like, okay, fine, I'll buy.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
makes sense. But if you blast it in someone's face the second they come to the website, you haven't even given a chance to look on the homepage, for fuck's sake. Like, calm down.
I don't trick people into buying into your company.
No.
Yeah,
No.
that's a great point.
So I found a Reddit post. It says a typical visit to 2022 to a website is 1, figure out how to decline all but essential cookies. 2, close the support widget asking if I need help. 3, stop the auto-playing video. 4, close the stupid subscribe to our newsletter pop-up. And 5, try to remember why I came here in the first place.
Nice.
That's amazing.
That's great.
All right, so again, this will wrap it up for the Think Fresh, Move Forward podcast, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.